See, all right. Bonus, would you believe?
Would you believe Jayden Daniels will win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
You know what? I actually can believe that. I have questions about the Washington Commanders' offensive line. I think that's going to be an issue. But make no mistake about it. Jayden Daniels has weapons in Washington. He has guys that he can throw the ball to. I felt like he was the best quarterback coming out this past year. So it would not be out of the realm of the possibility of Jayden Daniels getting that done.
So this is actually a really interesting question. This is not something that I've contemplated. You guys know that I've spoken very highly of Jayden Daniels and everything that the Washington Commanders are doing to set not only up Jayden Daniels there, but just the team as a whole. I really love what they did with hiring Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and all of that. And I think, man, it's going to be interesting because it's hard to discount Caleb Williams, right? I mean, Caleb Williams should have an unbelievable season this season, and he also has some weapons and some dudes. But I believe in the OC for the Commanders over what they're doing in Chicago. I really do. I think the weapons and the team itself is going to be more complete, and I think that there's the potential to have more complementary football, which, as you guys know, I talk a lot about. So I think the defense should be a little bit more prepared to even support Caleb Williams. But I think the expectations for Caleb is obviously through the roof, and you have no idea what that can look like. They also have a brutal gauntlet of a division, right? Going up against the Lions and the Packers, and even so the Vikings, you know, that those have potential to be really, really tough games for them. The Commanders are going up against the Cowboys, who I actually literally just made a video saying I don't think they're that good. And the Giants, they're obviously going to continue to not be good either. And then you have the Eagles, and I'm sure if you're a Commanders fan, you're like, the Eagles are trash. But the Eagles should be a pretty good team. It's also technically a question mark. I've also spoken very highly about the Eagles as well. They should be significantly better. I do have them as a top-level team, but the truth is that the Commanders always play the Eagles very tough as well. They almost won like both games last season, so it's definitely possible that Jayden Daniels can ball out against the Eagles, right? The Eagles aren't necessarily known to shut down quarterbacks. That's not technically what they've, that they haven't necessarily been that in the last few years. Even when they've, been really good and going to the Super Bowls, quarterbacks still often eat and get their numbers. Just ask Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott feasts on the Eagles all the time. And so it'll be interesting to see in terms of what criteria matters most for Rookie of the Year. Is it win-loss? Is it touchdowns, interception? What do they really care about more? Because what if Jayden balls out against the Eagles, for instance, but the Eagles still pull off the win, which is definitely possible. It's does that help or hurt him? Is it just end up being doesn't matter? Or does Jayden have to come back in the fourth, beat the Eagles in an iconic moment to kind of help build up that aura of being the next big thing? Because that's what it is. When you're the Offensive Rookie of the Year, especially as a rookie, especially as a quarterback, you're being essentially crowned as the next big thing, right? And Caleb already has that aura just going into this season, right? It's in a lot of ways it feels like it's his to lose, right? And that's just what it is when you're Caleb Williams, when you're the number one overall pick. It's not to say that these other quarterbacks like Jayden aren't meant to be great either, or could even surpass Caleb, but he's the number one pick. That's just the game, right? That is just the nature. As we know, and as I'm sure a lot of Commanders fans know at this point, the media has been dominated around Caleb Williams, right? There's I feel like I'm one of the only people that's actually talking about the Washington Commanders. And I asked the Commanders fans, I was like, why do you think the media has been so negative and so pretty much non-existent for the Commanders? And you guys brought up a great point. You guys said it's because of the ownership previously, and nobody wants to root for the Commanders. It's just, just bad business all around. And now that they've moved on from that, it's kind of maybe opening up the door to be okay, we can kind of talk positively about the Commanders or even support them publicly. So I definitely think the Commanders are going in the right direction. I definitely believe it's possible for Jayden Daniels. I think he's going to be a lot better than maybe the casual fan may believe. Again, I'm sure Commander fans are super high on Jayden, and rightfully so. But when I say casual in this sense, I don't even mean the negative casual sense, just the ones that only have followed college football so much or only know so much about a young quarterback going to the Commanders. It's well, what do they have in front of them that would allow Jayden to succeed? Now, I do think there's whispers, right, about potentially Brandon Ayuk going there. And I've talked extensively about that being either a good thing or a bad thing, which I'll talk about more in another video that I'll be posting either the same day as this video posts or the next day. I think it could be both positive and negative. From a purely number base, I think it would definitely help Jayden Daniels. And if Jayden Daniels got Ayuk, then I think he could probably surpass Caleb, because that's what I really think at this point. It would be between him and Caleb for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I think then Jayden would be able to surpass Caleb for that opportunity, mainly because, again, I really believe in the power of Jayden Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury, and then now you're going to add in another weapon like Ayuk, and I do think Dan Quinn will have that defense going. I don't know if they have the full-on personnel just yet, which is why I made that earlier comment about complementary football and how maybe the Bears might be better suited, but I do believe in Dan Quinn as a defensive mind and also getting that. But to me, the Commanders are more on like a 1 to 2 year plan, but I would definitely not count them out, and I definitely think that they have the potential to be a team this season that people are not like, oh yeah, easy win, we don't have to prepare too hard. Like, it'll be like, no, Jayden Daniels is for real, this offense is for real, the defense, you have no idea what Dan Quinn is going to cook up. Like, he can cause some problems. So I'm really excited, and I think they're going in a great direction, and it'll be cool if we could have Jayden Daniels versus Caleb, like kind of that battle of kind of like almost like a similar like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark type thing. It'll probably be a little bit less intense and less political because there's too many similarities between Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams. But I think it would be kind of a more fun storyline to kind of watch that go back and forth, because it's two very passionate, iconic franchises and fan bases. So I'm definitely excited for the future of that. But those are just my comments. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Do you think Jayden Daniels can win the Offensive Rookie of the Year? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.